Torosaurus, the giant with the mysterious shield of the Cretaceous store. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing in the middle of a vast plain in ancient North America. About 67 million years ago, the sky back then was not quite the same as ours. It stretched wide and warm, painted with lazy drifting clouds. Winds swept through primeval forests, rustling the leaves of towering ferns and ancient conifers. In the distance, the ground trembled with heavy, deliberate footsteps. From the shadows of the trees emerged a colossal figure. Torosaurus, one of the most awe-inspiring and enigmatic plant eaters of the Late Cretaceous. Name and era. Torosaurus was first discovered and named in 1891 by the famous paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh, a leading figure in the legendary bone wars of the 19th century, a scientific race to uncover the fossils of long-lost giants. Torosaurus comes from the Greek word toros, meaning massive or muscular, fitting for such an immense creature. This dinosaur lived at the very end of the Cretaceous period, around 66 to 68 million years ago, in the twilight days before the Chicxulub asteroid struck Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs. Torosaurus shared its world with some of the most famous species ever known: Triceratops, Tyrannosaurus rex, Ankylosaurus, Pachycephalosaurus, and many others. Appearance and size: a colossus with a giant shield. From a distance, Torosaurus would have left you speechless. It stretched 7 to 9 meters, 23 to 30 feet, in length and weighed between 4 to 6 tons, as heavy as a modern African elephant, yet far more intimidating. Its body was massive and muscular, supported by 4 sturdy pillar-like legs. A thick tail balanced its bulk as it moved, creating the impression of a living fortress. The most striking feature of Torosaurus was its frill, a vast bony shield that extended from the back of its skull. Some specimens reveal a frill measuring up to 2.7 meters, 9 feet across, the largest ever recorded among ceratopsid dinosaurs. Unlike Triceratops, which had a solid, heavy frill, the frill of Torosaurus was pierced by 2 enormous holes, making it lighter but also more mysterious. Many paleontologists believe these openings reduced weight, anchored powerful jaw muscles, or displayed skin patterns in vivid colors. Its face bore 2 long brow horns curving forward like spears, and a shorter nasal horn above the snout. Together, the horns and frill created an image both majestic and fearsome, like a warrior clad in ceremonial armor. Habitat: fertile, ancient plains. Torosaurus roamed what is now North America, particularly on the landmass called Laramidia, a narrow continent stretching along the western edge of ancient North America. During the Late Cretaceous, the climate was warm and humid. Vast floodplains, patchy woodlands, and river deltas bordered the western interior seaway, a gigantic inland ocean that split the continent in 2. The land was lush with vegetation, tree ferns as tall as a person, primitive palms, conifers, and flowering plants that had recently begun to spread. Torosaurus used its sharp, beak-like mouth to clip leaves, snap twigs, and strip vegetation. Inside its jaws were batteries of teeth that constantly regenerated, grinding plant matter into pulp. A fully grown Torosaurus may have consumed dozens of kilograms of vegetation each day, shaping the landscape as one of the ecosystem's most important grazers. In times of behavior: herds, defense, and survival. Torosaurus was not a predator, but it was far from defenseless. Evidence suggests they lived in large herds, much like elephants or bison today. In times of danger, adults could form a defensive circle, horns pointed outward, shielding their young within, a living wall of bone and muscle. When threatened by apex predators such as Tyrannosaurus rex, Torosaurus could fight back. A thrust from its massive brow horns could pierce flesh and bone, inflicting devastating injuries. Even the mighty T-Rex would have approached with caution. Yet Torosaurus likely preferred to intimidate rather than fight. Its greatest weapons were not just horns, but also its sheer size, its herd solidarity, and the commanding presence of its frill. Scientists believe the frill also played a key role in social interaction. Its surface may have been covered in brightly colored skin, signaling age, health, or dominance. During mating season, males may have faced off by displaying their frills and horns, testing each other's strength before escalating to physical combat. The Great Mystery, Torosaurus and Triceratops. Perhaps the most fascinating thing about Torosaurus is not only how it looked, but whether it truly existed as a separate species at all. For over a century, paleontologists have debated, was Torosaurus its own dinosaur, or was it simply the fully grown adult form of Triceratops? The argument in favor of this theory comes from bone studies. As Triceratops aged, its frill appears to have grown longer and thinner, eventually developing the large openings seen in Torosaurus fossils. If true, then Torosaurus was never a distinct dinosaur, just the final stage of a Triceratops's life. But many scientists remain unconvinced. They point out that the skull structure of Torosaurus shows differences that can't be explained by age alone. Some argue that both species coexisted, closely related but distinct. To this day, the mystery remains unresolved, and it is this very uncertainty that makes Torosaurus so compelling. Role in the ecosystem. In the late Cretaceous world, Torosaurus was a keystone herbivore. By feeding on vast amounts of vegetation, it helped prevent forests from overrunning floodplains, kept ecosystems open, and created habitats for smaller creatures. In turn, it was prey, or at least potential prey, for predators like Tyrannosaurus. This delicate balance, plants, herbivores, and carnivores, formed the heartbeat of the ancient ecosystem. Without Torosaurus and its kin, the landscape would have looked very different. Extinction, the fall of the giants. But then around 66 million years ago, fate struck. A massive asteroid slammed into Earth near modern-day Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The impact unleashed energy equal to billions of nuclear bombs, casting dust and ash into the sky. The world darkened. Temperatures plummeted. Plants withered and died. For giants like Torosaurus, dependent on endless vegetation, survival became impossible. One by one, they vanished, along with nearly all the great dinosaurs. Only fossils remained, silent testimonies buried in stone, waiting millions of years for humans to unearth their story. Legacy, a whisper from the past. Though extinct, Torosaurus left behind a legacy of wonder and mystery. Its colossal frill represents nature's bold experiments in evolution, pushing anatomy to the limits. Its uncertain relationship with Triceratops reminds us that science is always evolving, that what we think we know about the past can change with every new discovery. Torosaurus is more than a dinosaur. It is a symbol of the Cretaceous's final glory, a reminder of the fragility of life, and a bridge connecting us to a vanished world. Conclusion. To speak of Torosaurus is not merely to recall a giant lizard with the largest frill of any horned dinosaur. It is to remember an entire lost age, an age when nature sculpted titans of unimaginable form and beauty, only to erase them in a single catastrophic moment. Torosaurus, with its towering presence, massive horns, and mysterious shield, remains one of the most mesmerizing figures of prehistory. Its story is not just about survival and extinction. It is about wonder, curiosity, and the eternal human quest to uncover the secrets of the Earth's deep past.